Coming up on Cronkite News, Dreamers meeting with Arizona's governor today to talk about education and other issues they say are facing our community.
Plus, flu and RSV cases are up this year, but a new form of testing can help patients get effective treatment faster.
And later, the Super Bowl and WM Open brought the crowds, but did downtown restaurants ever see them?
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Alyssa Munoz.
And I'm Dylan Nichols. Thank you for joining us.
Students from across the state had the chance to meet with Governor Katie Hobbs and other state legislators today.
It was part of an annual Education Day where young people got to talk about different issues impacting their community. Cronkite News reporter John Brown says the students thought it was productive.
This is a great opportunity as an undocumented student. This is a great opportunity to have the chance to speak to representatives about different issues that affect our community.
Since 2019, Aliento, a program that supports undocumented and Dreamer students, has brought students like Valencia to the state capitol. The hope is that legislators will hear their perspectives on issues like Prop 203.
For me personally, I've been wanting to speak about repealing Prop 203, which is repealing English-only classrooms, and I just hope to see that we can see eye to eye on how this issue can affect us and how repealing it would definitely benefit a lot of English learners, especially coming from Mesa Public Schools.
Maya Gomez was one of the many students that met with Governor Hobbs about different DACA programs.
I think it went really well. We were heard, we were listened to, and I definitely think that we did well in getting our point across.
Jose Patino, Vice President of External Affairs at Aliento, says meeting with legislators is a great way for students to learn about the importance of their place in democracy.
The change happens when a community specifically cares about an issue and is able to advocate for it. It takes time.
In Phoenix, John Brown, Cronkite News.
This week marks the first major deadline for lawmakers and their proposed bills at the Arizona State Legislature. By Friday, all House and Senate bills must be heard in their committees to stay alive. According to the Legiscan, there have been more than 1,600 bills introduced in this legislative session. The most popular bills include drag show regulation, unlawful exposure, and school policies.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and other GOP lawmakers will be visiting Arizona's southern border tomorrow. This will mark McCarthy's first visit to the border since winning the gavel last month. The group will get an aerial tour of the border in Cochise County and will also be briefed about the current migrant situation there. McCarthy made securing the border a key part of his agenda during the midterm elections and the lead up to the speaker race. In November, he traveled to El Paso, Texas, and called on Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to resign over the handling of the border. McCarthy says the visit to Arizona tomorrow will give him more insight on the security of the country.
It's that time of year when more people visit the doctor for things like the flu or COVID-19. Cronkite News reporter Shira Tanzer shows us a new kind of test, making it easier for people to get treatment faster.
You may think that flu and RSV are long behind us, but the viruses are still floating around, and COVID may be a reason why numbers were so high this year.
When we started the pandemic, obviously we had a lot of people, staying at home, not going to school, kind of isolating, wearing their masks, and that kind of slowed down the transmission of the common viruses, and we ended up with a population of patients who are non-immune to some of those viruses that we're seeing now.
Dr. Balan with Phoenix Children's Hospital says the chances of transmission are now higher because of the lack of immunity, and that was reflected in this year's numbers. According to the Arizona Department of Health Services, more than 32,000 flu cases were reported in the state this year, with more than 17,000 in Maricopa County alone. At its peak in November, RSV cases were more than 20 times the amount from previous years.
Their symptoms are so very similar and the treatments are different. And so it is very important to get treatment started as quickly as possible because delays could actually affect how the treatments work.
Sonora Quest Laboratories recently started providing 3-with-1 testing, which takes one sample in the form of a nose swab and tests it for RSV, flu, and COVID. White says testing used to be through process of elimination, but the new PCR test separates the sample and tests it separately for all 3 viruses.
And this is a highly sensitive molecular PCR test that can detect influenza, RSV, as well as COVID from one specimen.
Cases in Maricopa County have been trending downwards, and both White and Ballon say getting tested can make sure they stay that way. In Phoenix, Shira Tanzer, Cronkite News.
The new 3-in-1 testing is available through your healthcare provider.
And doctors say the tests help people get a head start getting the treatment they need to feel better. Arizona Poison Control says they get calls every day from parents who say their child accidentally ate edible marijuana. Cronkite News reporter Ariana Ariza looks at the partnership working to keep what looks like regular candy out of the hands of children.
Of the 739 cannabis-related calls to the Arizona Poison Centers last year, more than half involved children. A new effort hopes to bring those numbers down.
Poison Center, this is Kim.
Phones ring in the Poison Control Center at Banner Health. At the other end of the line, parents concerned about their child's safety. More and more, medical experts say cannabis edibles that are safe for adults are sending some children to the hospital.
In fact, in an adult, we see similar symptoms in kids of drowsiness, incoordination when walking. They could be giggling or just kind of acting inappropriately, all the way to the point where they're so drowsy that they can't be awakened, or that their breathing pattern is slower than normal, or in the most rare and serious circumstance, they can develop seizures.
Maureen Rowland of Banner Health says poison centers in Phoenix and Tucson handle calls mostly from parents of children younger than 5.
Usually it's 2-year-olds. So 2-year-olds are very curious. They put everything in their mouths pretty much. So that's one of our biggest messaging is that if you do have these products in your home, they are a drug, they are medication, so you need to treat them as such.
Ann Torres of the Arizona Dispensaries Association says edibles are supposed to be in child-resistant packages. And she says state law prohibits the sale of edibles that might attract kids.
There's no gummy bears, gummy worms at all in the adult use market in Arizona. So if you see that type of product, you know it's coming from an illegal or an unregulated product.
Of the 394 pediatric cases involving cannabis last year, 60% required a hospital visit. Arizona Poison Centers is working with the Arizona Dispensaries Association to help educate parents on safe cannabis use.
Member dispensaries will have a window cling that will identify that they are members of the association. That allows consumers to scan a QR code, which will go back to the association website. It has information on safe consumption and what to do if there's accidental ingestion.
Leaving marijuana edibles around kids gives them easy access to eat the products. Parents are advised to lock them up and keep them out of reach of children. In the newsroom, Ariana Ariza, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Ariana. Coming up on Cronkite News, it's the end of an era in web browsing. We take a look back at the legacy of Internet Explorer and who will be its new successor.
And later, the Super Bowl WM Open drove thousands of tourists to the Valley, but some restaurants didn't get the extra business they were promised.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
That way the flavors will marry nicely.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at?
I'm not looking for love, I'm looking for cookies.
And there's still places to discover.
It just absorbs you.
You can make this at home if you can't find it.
I will continue to eat and drink until you get here. Get here fast.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. They're on
Doesn't it look good?
We are going to be eating well.
It does work.
It does.
We got a happy little sky.
We're just getting started.
Welcome. How utterly charming.
Are you ready to get it going?
How does an English fan come to the Italian Riviera?
A fresh start.
Can I trust you?
Are you ready for the show?
You can't be afraid to show them what you've got. What you want.
Are we having a party?
Of course, the more the merrier.
I love this place. It's my home now. Trouble in paradise.
I can't do it on my own.
This is revenge.
There are consequences.
Be careful.
Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Oh.
You look like you need rescuing.
Don't we all?
What is it that you want? I just want to let go. I choose how I live.
There is the passion that I've been looking for.
After nearly 3 decades of Internet Explorer being one of the most well-known web browsers, its time has come to an end. Microsoft announced Tuesday that the company permanently disabled the desktop version on certain versions of Windows 10. The tech giant has decided that it's time to completely phase users over to its newest web browser, Microsoft Edge. Edge was released as an Internet Explorer's replacement in 2015 as many websites stopped supporting the classic browser. Microsoft describes Edge as a faster, more secure, and more modern browsing experience. However, Explorer will undoubtedly leave its name etched in history books as it launched in 1995 and featured 11 different versions throughout its popular lifespan.
Last weekend's Super Bowl brought tens of thousands of visitors to the Valley, but businesses began planning for the influx of people long before the big game. Reporting Phoenix, where she found out that some restaurants didn't get the bump in business that they were expecting.
Banners like these are still posted all over downtown Phoenix. The city thought it would help attract fans here, but on game night, things were a little different. One business owner I spoke with said they saw less traffic than expected.
We expected to see a huge amount of traffic. We were all just sort of a little bit nervous because we didn't know if we were going to be able to take on that burden. We were kind of scared actually, but we were actually slower than normal.
Krista Smith is a bartender at Seamus McCaffrey's Irish Pub on Monroe and First Street. Leading up to the big game, they bulked up on inventory and made sure they had extra staffing, such as servers and bartenders.
A lot of the other bartenders were coming over here just like, where is everybody? We got more customers than most of the other places did.
RJ Price, the Chief Growth Officer for Downtown Phoenix Inc., said in an email that while Thursday was perhaps slower than anticipated, the business core and northern parts of the neighborhood were well above capacity Friday through Sunday. He also mentioned that free light rails could have helped with the event attendees getting in and out of downtown. But Smith worried transportation and parking costs actually kept people away from downtown.
To imagine that things like Lyft and Uber, the trip from the stadium downtown is probably super expensive, and who wants to make that trip late at night and pay $50 to come down here?
The city of Phoenix said in an email statement that the Super Bowl brought a positive impact to the area, but exact sale tax numbers are still yet to be determined. In downtown Phoenix, Yuri Han, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Yuri. The rain has cleared out, but the wind stuck around today. Haley Forbes is in the Cronkite Weather Center. And Haley, can we expect more rain in the forecast?
So it looks like we are done with rain for now, but we do have a very chilly evening ahead of us, so you're definitely going to want to bundle up and wear a jacket. We're going to be at 53 degrees by 6 p.m., and then we decrease to 45 degrees by 10 o'clock tonight. Now let's take a look at our future forecast. Now, as you can see right here is the cold front that just came through the valley yesterday, bringing lots of rain and thunderstorms and even some snow in the Tucson area. Now, this cold front is going to be leaving, and the low pressure system is going to give us some dry, cold temperatures and some freezing weather as well. Now, there is a freeze warning in effect until tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the southern portion of the state, as well as some southwestern portions of the state as well. So you're going to want to cover those plants so that they can stay alive, and even cover some pipes so that your pipes can stay good as well. Now let's take a look at our lows. We're going to be at 42 degrees in Phoenix and 43 degrees in Bullhead City. And then in the high country is very, very chilly, lots of single digits, 6 degrees in Holbrook and -6 in Window Rock. And then for our highs tomorrow, it's going to be very chilly in the high country still, with some freezing temperatures as well. And then we're going to be at 61 degrees here in Phoenix and 61 degrees in Lake Havasu City. Now let's take a look at our 8-day forecast. So tomorrow is going to be 61 degrees and sunny. Then we have some clouds coming in on Friday and Saturday. Saturday is going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. Then the clouds stay through the beginning of next week, and we have a potential winter storm coming our way as well. Then we're going to end at 66 degrees on Thursday. For the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Haley Forbes.
I'm Cade Cameron. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. It's time to play ball. The Sun Devils are getting ready to take the field for the season opener at Phoenix Municipal Stadium.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavour to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery. I can hardly wait.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities. How do you think that, as the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives.
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Ain't no time for imitation, ain't no time for playing. I'm just gonna do me.
Know what I'm saying?
Try to steer the trouble.
Where's the fun in that?
You know how ladies can be.
I'ma do what I do.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Cade Cameron. While many sports fans are sad that football season is over, others have been eagerly awaiting another Valley attraction, the start of Major League Spring Training. Pitchers and catchers reported today across the Cactus League, including the Diamondbacks at Salt River Field. Among those is pitcher Merrill Kelly, who is coming off a career year with the Diamondbacks, going 13-8 last season. He's also committed to play in the World Baseball Classic this spring. Fans were already lined up to see Kelly and the rest of the team begin their preparations for the upcoming season. Day one is always exciting as the players reunite after a long offseason.
Day one, you know, the media's back in here, you guys are back in here. There's just a little bit of a different buzz. What I'm excited for the season, I think the brand of baseball that we were playing last year, I think we improved on it. We improved on places that we really needed help, I think. So I think, you know, the fans should be excited for what the Deep Extra, I think, are bringing this year.
Position players will report to camp on Monday. ASU baseball will host their 2023 season opener this Friday at home against San Diego State. Cronkite sports reporter Noelle Blumel stopped by Phoenix Municipal Stadium to find out what defines this rebranded Sun Devils team and what to expect from them this season.
Sun Devil baseball enters their second season under Willie Bloomquist this Friday. Bloomquist and staff worked tirelessly in the transfer portal this offseason and acquired what they believe to be their ideally recruited team.
I'm not going to say I'm overly relaxed by any means, but I'm sleeping better this time of year than I was last year at this time.
Despite over 20 new faces and the team's already established offensive threats, the few returners have continued to emphasize what's most important: the competitive motto and culture of Sun Devil baseball.
It's good to know where you come from, and that's something that Willie's always been trying to dig into us, is that you don't just play for yourself, but you have to know where the program comes from and who you play for.
In addition to weekly scrimmages that showcase the team's high exit and spin velocity, and 3 Devils being named to the preseason all-conference team, the program also held a preseason open house to introduce the team and further instill the history of Sun Devil baseball.
Open House doesn't just allow for the spring roster to showcase their talent to fans and alumni. Players say that having the alumni around continues to restore the program's pride and culture. And in turn, alumni pay their respects and well wishes to the new team.
You know, it's just the tradition at ASU, and I think that it's something that needs to come back and, you know, a little bit more in this program and, you know, become who they are again. You know, just wear that, you know, the gold and maroon with pride.
We'll see how the Devils respond to a team in a different uniform when they face the Aztecs of San Diego State on February 17th. In Phoenix, Noelle Blumel, Cronkite Sports.
The Suns are set to officially introduce Kevin Durant to the Valley tomorrow. KD will speak for the first time since joining the team in that blockbuster trade from last week. If you recall, the Suns acquired 2 other players that day, and one is a familiar face. Cronkite sports reporter Zach Woodard has more on the 2 new Suns.
With the new owner and Matt Ishbia and the starting lineup finally healthy, the Suns are wasting no time in making their playoff push. Their blockbuster trade for Kevin Durant also yielded another player from the Nets, TJ Warren. Warren was the Suns' first-round draft pick back in 2014 and played 5 seasons in the Valley. The difference between then and now, he says, is night and day.
Like I was telling people earlier, it's a whole, feel like a whole new organization, just from top to bottom. It's a thrill to be a part of this right now.
The Suns also acquired Darius Bazley from Oklahoma City in a separate deal. Bazley is now in his 4th NBA season, and he has some skills in his game that would translate nicely with this Suns team.
My versatility defensively, be able to guard 1-5. You know, and offensively, just get my athleticism into the game.
While the Suns gained a lot on trade day, they also gave up a lot to secure Durant, including last year's Defensive Player of the Year runner-up Mikal Bridges and 3-point specialist Cameron Johnson. Suns head coach Monty Williams, who spent several years with them, appreciates their time in Phoenix.
They're always going to be close to my heart, and we'll miss them, but it's part of the NBA economy. You know, it just happens where guys move on, but they're certainly always in my thoughts.
New additions Darius Bazley and TJ Warren, who both have ties to the players, are looking to make an immediate impact to help the Suns make a deep playoff run and hopefully a championship. In Phoenix, Zach.
Half today for the Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Cade. Still ahead, most dogs who run away from home can end up at their local shelters.
But one dog is going viral after going back all on her own.
Now streaming on the PBS app, the definitive collection of documentaries from award-winning filmmaker Ken Burns.
Hemingway, the man, is much more interesting than the myth.
It is a story that Americans have to reckon with.
He's got my job. I'm the champ.
Discover over 40 groundbreaking films that bring our history to life. Stream the Ken Burns collection now with Passport on the PBS app.
General
manager of Arizona PBS. We've got so much going on here at the station. I'm Catherine Anaya.
I'm Alberto Rios. I'm Chef Mark Tarbell.
I'm Ted Simons.
We want everyone to know that their Arizona connection starts right here at Arizona PBS.
For over the past 60 years, Arizona PBS has told incredible stories of Arizona's distinctive people.
We got to start being more vulnerable with each other.
What I love most about being a Latina woman is the passion and drive that I feel.
Beautiful landscapes and treasured history.
We're doing something that benefits the community.
Good evening and welcome to Horizonte.
Welcome to Check Please, Arizona.
Welcome to the U.S. Senate debate.
The recipient of the Emmy is
Arizona PBS.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
A newly adopted dog runs away from home, but it didn't take long for her Texas family to find her.
That's because she ended up back at the shelter where she was adopted from. Meet 3-year-old Bailey. Her new owners say she jumped over several fences to escape their backyard. After days of searching, she was found at the shelter where she was adopted. The shelter says they knew she had arrived when Bailey set off the Ring doorbell camera at 1 o'clock in the morning. Bailey's family was called to pick her up, and she now has a GPS collar, just in case she decides to take another adventure.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.